Hi everybody, welcome to Theo and Olaf. My name is Irene. With me is Olaf, our Samoyed doggy. And today we'll be talking about how much time does it take to raise a Samoyed. Many of you have mentioned to us that you're in so-and-so profession or you're currently living by yourself and does it make sense to raise a Samoyed? And honestly, it really depends on a lot of factors like your profession, your lifestyle choices, the age of your Samoyed, but overall, having a Samoyed is a huge time commitment, and we'll talk about the amount of time it's taken us to raise Olaf. Let's first talk about the amount of time it takes to raise a Samoyed puppy. Having a Samoyed puppy is basically having a full-time job. And a lot of people don't like this comparison, but having a Samoyed puppy is kind of like having a new baby. You're constantly having to monitor it. If your puppy barks or whines, which is quite often with a Samoyed puppy, you gotta make sure that they're okay. You gotta constantly make sure that they go to the bathroom, especially when they're little. Their bladders aren't fully developed, so you gotta work on potty training. And you just constantly have to make sure that they're not getting into trouble, whether it comes to biting, destroying things, running themselves into things. So it's a lot of time just making sure that they survive and they aren't causing trouble. So I highly recommend if you're getting a Samoyed puppy that you take some time off. That way you can set expectations around the house, your puppy can get used to the routine that you're developing, that you can really spend quality time with them. This is not the time where you can just send your puppy to someone else, like a family member or a trainer. You really want to be hands-on and establish that relationship with them. The other thing to note is that you probably won't be getting a lot of sleep when you first get your Samoyed puppy. Samis are very vocal and they'll be very unhappy when they first arrive in your home just because they don't know what to expect. So you can expect them to be barking, especially if they're crated for the first time. And especially with their bladders, since they're not fully developed, they'll have to go out more often in the middle of the night. So expect to wake up more often than you want in the middle of the night and be a little bit more sleep deprived in the beginning. Next, let's talk about the adolescent or teenage years for a Samoyed, and that's usually around 6 months. This is the time where you're probably getting more sleep. Hopefully they're well potty trained and crate trained by now so that you don't have to wake up in the middle of the night to take them out. The one thing that does take a lot of time during this stage of their life is training. So teenagers, as you probably know, are pretty rebellious. They don't always listen. They want their own way, pushing boundaries, and that applies to your dog as well. So this is the time where you want to focus on training. I'm not talking about training when it comes to obedience, like sit, stays, etc. Samoyeds can understand that very well. I'm talking more about training when they're distracted, when you want to do something else, and you want to bring them back to you. That's going to take a lot of time. And this is the time where I recommend working with a one-on-one trainer to work on any problem issues. And finally, your Samoyed will reach adulthood at about 1.5 to 2 years old. This is the time where you'll be getting a lot more sleep than before. Things are hopefully a lot more manageable, but it's still a huge time commitment. I would say to this day, I don't really sleep in anymore because of Olaf. You can expect to wake up pretty early to take your dog out. I usually take Olaf out around 6 to 7 a.m. And let's talk about our schedule of Olaf throughout the day. So Olaf gets a walk or outing twice a day. They're usually around 40 to 60 minutes each. So that's twice a day. That's about 1.5 to 2 hours in total. After walking Olaf, I'll usually do some kind of post-outing cleanup where I wipe his paws, I brush out anything that stuck to his fur. That's around 10 minutes each session, so that's like 20 minutes during the day. And then throughout the day, while I'm at home, usually I'm working at home, and throughout the day, we'll have a little bit of play sessions or some mental stimulation, and that's around 30 to 60 minutes during the day. And of course, finally, there's feeding. Usually that doesn't take too much time for me. I make it pretty quick and simple, but that's around 15 minutes. So all in all, if you add in all those activities together, that's around 3 dedicated hours towards Olaf. So that's a huge amount of time. That's not also including the time I'm just spending next to him where he's napping, where he's just chilling. Usually when I'm working, Olaf is just right next to me. There's not only time spent doing things for and to Olaf, but there's also just quality time together. And there's also some additional things to consider. So because Samoyeds are very social, we also sometimes arrange play dates with Olaf on the weekends. We also take him for grooming. We give him baths sometimes on our own if we need it. So that's also a very huge time commitment. So that's our summary of how much time it's taking us to raise Olaf. Obviously, it's gotten a lot better and a lot more manageable over time, but it is a huge time commitment. And if you're wondering if you can make things work with you and a future Samoyed of your own, you should ask yourself if a Samoyed is going to be your companion, that's usually by your side, or if the Samoyed is just going to be a dog that you want to see from time to time, that you hand off occasionally to a trainer, or to a family or friend that you know. So you want to make sure that the Samoyed is going to be your companion, that you spend a lot of time with it, because they're just such social creatures and they'll be a lot happier if they're with you. If Samoyeds don't get enough physical, mental stimulation, or just companionship, they'll get really bored and that will just lead to bad behaviors. So just some things to consider. So hopefully you found this video to be very useful. If you're on the fence about getting a Sammy just based on your profession or your life stage, let us know in the comment section below and we can talk about it. And as always, if you enjoyed this content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Thanks for watching.